The main problem is schedule. You don't have a right schedule, then your baby's overtired at night and is waking up a lot, and you're just going crazy because you're overtired too. And then there's, of course, medical issues like dairy allergies or gluten allergies or reflux or different little things that I can be like, you know what, you're doing everything right. You got to go to a doctor because there's something else.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm so excited about our guest because in our Facebook group we get so many questions about sleep training for babies and just different techniques for helping your baby sleep. So I'm very excited. Today we have Andrea, and she is a baby sleep consultant, and so she is here to answer all of our top questions. So just to get started, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and family, a little bit about your job?
I grew up all around the world. I lived mostly in Brazil. That's where I grew up. And then I went to high school in Spain, and then I went to college in Texas, and I've been here since. And so now I have a little boy who's 2.5 and a little boy who's 4 months old.
Oh,
And I wanted to be a teacher all my life, and so that's all I did. I did substitute teaching, everything I could to be a teacher. And once I got to teaching, I was like, well, I'm going to be a teacher, and my kid can stay home or go to daycare. And then I couldn't do that, so I decided to stay home. And then he wouldn't sleep, and I need my sleep. I need my 8 hours of sleep every night. And so I was like, well, I got to figure this out. So I read every book I could get a hand on, every blog I could get a hand on, and I still couldn't figure it out. And so I was like, well, I'm going to be home. I'm going to look. I wanted a job anyway, and I found the sleep consultant job. I said, I'm going to have to figure this sleep out and get a job. And so that's what I did. And it was cool because after all that research, it turns out that I was able to figure out that he had a dairy allergy that was going unnoticed. And then after that, he was finally able to sleep. But then I have all this knowledge now, and I've grown since then to have a whole clientele, and it's really fun to help other moms that are just at the end of their wits end trying to figure sleep out.
yeah, that's awesome because, yeah, as I was mentioning in our private Facebook group, I see questions about sleep all the time, and it's just every baby's so different. So what does a baby sleep consultant do initially to kind of figure out what's going on and how you can kind of help the situation?
I send them a survey, like an intake form, and it asks them about their habits, about their parenting preferences, how much crying they can take. Some parents are like, I don't care, do cry it out, 3 days, I'm done. And some parents are like, I can't do any crying. So we have to work with that. And so I asked them, how does your child respond to this? Are they anxious? Are they happy-go-lucky? How do they react when they don't have sleep? So really get to know the baby to see where we're going off and why they're not sleeping.
Awesome. So when do you think a good time or good idea is to inquire with a baby sleep consultant?
Honestly, and this is going to be completely honest, when you feel like you are out of control, when you don't know what to do, when you need sleep. And I have turned people away. I've been like, well, you just got to do this and you're done. But whenever you feel like you need help, even if you're sleeping a lot more than someone else is, if you feel like you need help, that's the time to seek it.
So what does a normal consultation kind of look like from start to finish?
My most popular one is a sleep package, in which you fill out the survey, and then I write this 15 to 20 page book specifically for you. And in that, I touch everything that you filled out in your survey and explain to you baby sleep science, why your baby isn't sleeping. And then you have step-by-step guide of how to get your baby to sleep through the night. And then you can purchase, well, that comes with 1 week of coaching, but you can do 2 or 3 weeks. Usually my client sleeps through the night after 1 week, but there's...
What would you say, I know you said your son had a dairy allergy that came out after going through the sleep process. So what would you say are some of the other issues, either underlying issues or just overall issues that parents have with their baby going to sleep?
Usually it's a prop dependence, and you probably heard that, and a lot of people don't like to say that it's a thing. And then there's other little problems. A main problem is schedule. You don't have a right schedule, then your baby's overtired at night and is waking up a lot, and you're just going crazy because you're overtired too. And then there's, of course, medical issues like dairy allergies or gluten allergies or reflux or different little things that I can be like, you know what, you're doing everything right. You got to go to a doctor because there's something else.
I'm sure this is different for every kind of or every baby, because everyone has different issues or needs based on their sleep schedule. So But what were some of your best tips for helping babies sleep better?
My main tip is to be really consistent and to have routines that help baby have good associations. Because, like I mentioned, sleep props, there are negative sleep props, the ones that they can't, they don't have in the middle of the night. But then there's positive sleep props, like a dark room. If it's still dark, they'll go right back to sleep. White noise, if they have that, comforting noise, then they'll go back to sleep. Or like having the same kind of sheets and the same smells, same, what's it called, PJs, hearing the same sounds. And so having a really good environment is key. And then also routines. If you have a routine that lets baby know it's time to start going to sleep, their body can start shutting down and you're not just like putting them cold awake on a bed and they have no idea what's going to happen.
So this kind of covers what you're kind of just talking about, but again, with like the different, ages based on like 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, is there a normal amount of times that a baby should be getting up in the middle of the night?
Yeah, it really depends on each baby and each parent. Because, I've had clients, for example, that have their 18-month-old and they're like, I just need help with the going to sleep. I don't mind getting up 4 or 5 times to feed them. And that's up to them. You have to be like, well, my baby might need to eat once or twice a night. There's a small percentage of 5, 6, 7-month-olds that are still needing 2 feeds. And, it's just they have a really high metabolism maybe, or they really need that. So there isn't just like a bam, that's the number. There's newborns that can sleep 6, 8 hours, and then there's 10-month-olds that can't. So you really have to get to know your baby. Always work with your pediatrician for feeds, and then what you're comfortable with. If you need more sleep, it's not selfish to seek more sleep. Your baby needs sleep too for their development. So you're not, I stress that so much because moms feel so guilty saying they need more sleep. But it's like you do. It's our basic human need.
Yeah, I see that post a lot of times in the group too about sleep deprivation or the 4-month sleep regression too, where, so many moms go through at different stages, but what's different about like the 4-month time where it's, like what's going on during that time that so many babies change their sleep habits?
Yeah, so the main thing is that what I was telling you, that they start doing REM cycles. So newborn sleep is pretty much either deep sleep or REM sleep. It's just kind of like you're out and you wake up when you're hungry. But once they reach 4 months, it's the whole science behind it, so I won't get too into it. But their body starts relying on melatonin to fall asleep. And so that's why schedules are really important. And also their brain starts working more in REM cycles, just like ours. And so they start waking up. And that's why they're like, I'm literally up every hour and a half or every 2 hours, because their cycles are like 45 minutes, 90 minutes. And they might be able to cycle through the first one because they're tired enough, but then they're not. And they need that same thing they woke up with. They fell asleep. And so that's the main cause. There's also like huge developmental leaps around those weeks. So that doesn't help.
When is a good time for parents to start doing sleep training? And do you recommend that they come to a sleep consultant for this, or like start by trying it on their own first? Like, what do you recommend?
I recommend to listen to yourself and your anxiety, especially because I had horrible postpartum anxiety and I didn't know what to do and I felt just in a hole always. And so if you're pregnant and you're like, I need my sleep, what am I going to do? Then I recommend you seek out a sleep consultant right then and there to help you, the basics of what you can do. And that might give you a sense of control. If you don't have any anxiety over it, you're like, I'll figure it out, then go for it. If you're into week 3 of your baby's life and you're not getting any sleep and you don't know what to do, that's when you seek help. If you're 5 months into your baby's life and that's when you need help, that's when you go to it. I recommend you start sleep training from the day your baby is born, meaning you give them a good sleep environment for their age, you give them a good schedule for their age, and you give them an opportunity to fall asleep on their own. Now with newborns, obviously they're going to be sleepy anyway the first 2 weeks, but after that you try to get them to give them an opportunity to fall asleep. What does that mean? That doesn't mean put them in the crib and get out of the house and see what happens. That means putting them in the crib, seeing how they react, and if they cry, pick them up because they're newborns, but give them that opportunity to perhaps fall asleep on their own. Up to 4 months, I don't recommend any kind of crying. After 4 months, since you have that huge change and they're learning things and they're able to learn self-soothing, then I recommend some gentle sleep methods, sleep training methods. If your baby's still not sleeping, meaning like letting them cry or fuss for 2-3 minutes and then going back in and using different methods. After 6 months, they're more able to actually learn self-soothing. And so if you're on team cry it out, which I can't do myself, then I would say wait until 6 months.
Something else I wanted to ask you about. So I was just talking to one of my coworkers, and she was talking about how the Graco Rock and Play was recalled again. And because I know like a couple months ago, there was a situation with the Rock and Play, and she was saying now they're just completely taking it off shelves everywhere. And so they said it had to do with like sleep and like how the baby was laying. Do you have more information on this?
Basically, the inclination that they were in wasn't safe for babies to be left unattended because their chin could go down and they could stop breathing really easily, especially if they're not buckled. Or if baby wasn't buckled and they could turn around, they could suffocate on it. And so it was actually a super unsafe. It's kind of like the Duckatot. No one talks about it, but it's a very unsafe sleeping tool that a lot of people use. And so my thoughts on those kinds of things is stay away from them. I'm not a stay away from everything kind of person because everybody has something different. But I do think if a product says on the back, do not use while unattended, then definitely don't use while unattended. Because one, that means they know it's not safe. And so it's kind of immoral, I think, to sell it.
I've also seen like pack and plays, how they're not, some parents will like have kids take naps on them, some don't. So what are your thoughts on some of those?
Those are actually deemed safe by the AAP, so I said it's fine. Actually, our newborn hated his bassinet. We had to co-sleep, and that's another topic. We had to co-sleep for a few weeks until he got ready to sleep, on a flat surface. But he hated the bassinet so much, so we just put him right into a bassinet pack and play thing. And that's where he slept until we got a crib, and now he's in a crib. Those are safe. You just want to look at the manufacturer labels, and they'll tell you like safe for sleep or not safe for sleep, and then trust that.
That kind of covers most of the questions I had about, baby sleep. And I'm sure after I post this too, we'll get a few more questions. So maybe we'll have to have you on again too and answer some other questions. So for everyone that's watching, can you just let them know where they can follow you and then how they could reach out to you for a consultation if they're interested?
So I have a website that's tiniestdreamers.com. And so you can look there. I've spent quite a bit of time making that website, so look through it. But I spend a lot of time on my Instagram and Facebook more. My Instagram is baby.sleepanswers, I think. I think that's what it is. I changed it like 3 months ago, and you can send me a message on Facebook or on Instagram. And I love to talk, as you can tell.
Awesome. Well, good to know. Well, thank you so much for answering some of the biggest questions that I hear and see when it comes to baby sleeping. I think you're going to help so many people in this group. Everyone be sure to follow Andrea on Instagram and Facebook. Reach out to her if you have any other questions. We can also, feel free to ask some questions below and we can get hopefully some new questions answered. And thank you everyone for watching. Again, my name is Christa from Mommy Knows Best. And to follow us on our social media is Mommy Knows Best on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Mommy Knows Best. And finally, join our private Facebook group. We have a great community of moms, and it's called Mommy Knows Best, Judgment Free Mom Tribe.